personal foul.
That was absolutely ridiculous.
The Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Up on down. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
I don't know. It's tough. Tom's up there, man.
Well, I've been a fan of Boston Celtics for, my whole life pretty much.
The first Celtics game was back when I was like 7 years old.
The Boston Celtics became legendary.
What's going on YouTube? It is your boy Jesse Almeida here on YouTube and back on Beantown Takes. And today we are reacting to previewing the Celtics versus Hawks NBA playoff matchup. As you guys are watching this video, I will be on my way to Game 1 of the series between the Hawks and the Celtics. I will be in attendance today. This video here will be up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. So I will be on my way to TD Garden when this video gets uploaded. Can't wait for the game. Can't wait for Celtics playoffs to be back. It's going to be one hell of a run again. I'm already predicting Celtics are going back to the finals here. I'm predicting that. I think we're going to face... Let's see. What should I predict? I think we're going to face either Brewadis' Phoenix Suns, or I think we're getting Golden State again. I think it's one of the two. I really think it's one of the two. If it's the Lakers, GG's to me in terms of the prices on the ticket, but it is what it is at the end of the day. But I say for the Celtics versus Hawks, I say Celtics in 5. I say Celtics in 5. The Hawks had a great win against Miami. It was a solid win for them, but I really think they are no match against the Celtics at the end of the day. I do think they get one game at their own turf in Atlanta, but that's really about it. I'd be shocked if it goes 6. I'd be very, very, very shocked if it goes 7 games. I think the Celtics should be able to handle their business at the end of the day. If they don't, it's a disappointment. But the only fear that I really have with the Hawks is I really hope that Trae Young doesn't turn into Madison Square Garden Trae Young when he faced the Knicks in the first round a few years ago. That's really my only worry in terms of the Hawks. But other than that, I really don't see an issue. I think the Celtics are much deeper than the Hawks. And I think the Celtics starting 5 is a lot better than the Hawks starting 5 also. Not really worried about Trae Young in terms of against Marcus Smart, but I'd say I'm worried about him in other aspects of his game. But we'll go into detail in that as NBC Sports Boston's previews the series Hawks versus Celtics. Leave those if you guys enjoyed these videos. Subscribe now if you guys are new. You guys know what to do. Go check out our website. Links in the description down below. And without further ado, let's hop straight into this video.
So much for that upset alert. It seems the Celtics got the most favorable matchup, or did they? Hello and welcome to our Bella Early Edition. I am Trini Casey. Yes, they did. I spent all morning trying to dig up stats and facts.
On a side note, I'm very glad we don't have to face Miami. I'm very glad we don't have to face Miami. Milwaukee has to face Miami. That is tough. They're going to have a tough road to the Eastern Conference Finals and to the NBA Finals. They have to go through the Miami Heat, who were just in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And they're going to have to go through a Cleveland Cavaliers team, possibly, who are a very talented team also. And if they don't have to face the Cleveland Cavaliers, guess who they're going to have to face? The Knicks, who also had a very good year this year. Man, I got to say, it looks like the Celtics getting the number 2 seed might have been the move here, honestly.
Facts on the Hawks that might indicate the Celtics could be in trouble. Sure, the Hawks rebound the ball well, and 7 players did score in double figures in Atlanta's win over Miami, but the C's also have great depth. And if Robert Williams is out there, he should be able to handle Clint Capella and the boys on the board.
Right.
One thing that was still lurking, though, for the ultimate...
This might be one of the only times that I paused in this video. Let's go through matchup by matchup. Trae Young versus Marcus Smart. Trae Young's the better player, but Marcus Smart's the much better defensive player. So I feel like Marcus Smart will definitely lock up Trae Young. That might be a slight edge to Young, but I don't know. I think Young's going to have a very hard time against Marcus Smart. Young's the talented player, obviously, but he's going to have a tough time against Marcus Smart. Then it's DeJounte Murray against Jaylen Brown. That's Jaylen Brown all day long. Then you got Jason Tatum versus, I think it's against DeAndre Hunter. Is Jason Tatum all day long. Then you got the power forward, which will be, it's going to be Al Horford versus John Collins at the power forward position. Call me crazy, but I think I got Al Horford in that. I really think I have Al Horford in that. I think he's going to play a big role in this series. And then Clint Capella against Robert Williams. I'm going to have to go with my boy Rob Williams. I think the Celtics starting five is much better than the Atlanta Hawks starting five. You could argue with me, John Collins and Al Horford, obviously. You could argue that with me. John Collins is very inconsistent, in my opinion. He's very inconsistent. And then Clint Capella versus Robert Williams. I got to go with Rob Williams all day.
Hot take. The Celtics do tend to play down to their competition. They are at risk of overlooking the Hawks.
Yeah, but this is the postseason. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do that. They know all these games are important. A little too close for comfort, but more often than not, they actually come out on the winning end. I looked at the Celtics' record against the 10 worst teams in the NBA. They finished the year 21-7. 3 of those losses inexplicably came against the Magic. So while they might allow lesser teams to keep it close, they tend to find a way to walk away with the win. The only question that remained, are the Hawks anything like the Knicks and the Cavaliers, teams that combined to go 6-2 against the C's this year? My guy, Chris Forsberg, says, nope. Trust me, I wanted an edgy hot take. I wanted to spice this series up. Instead, I'm like Felger. I'm just already looking forward to round 2. All right, but before we get to round 2, be sure to watch each game of the series right here on NBC Sports Boston. Here is the complete schedule beginning Saturday at 3:30 for Game 1, Game 2 Tuesday, followed by Game 3 next Friday. After that, they play every other day. And for more on this series, let's bring in the aforementioned Celtics insider Chris Forsberg, plus the Boston Globe's Gary Washburn. Guys, I mean, Chris, should we be careful for what we wish for? We're all like, yes, it's the Hawks. But maybe, no.
You said you spent all morning, you couldn't figure out.
Yeah, but you're more of a basketball guy. You're there in the trenches every day.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you, but I mean, I do think this is as favorable a matchup as they could get for the Celtics.
Right.
The Hawks score the ball well, they rebound well. The Celtics have ways to neutralize that. What they can't make up is the fact that they have someone like Trae Young who will be a defensive liability throughout this series and will give up more points than he probably creates.
You're going to attack Trae Young all the time.
And so the Celtics should dominate this series. As you said, the literal only thing that I can fall back on that would say the Hawks have a chance in this series is if the Celtics start to look past them, if they don't have the same intensity that they might have brought.
I don't think they are, though. They understand this is a postseason game. They understand that every single game is important.
Over the course of this season, that they cannot play down to their competition.
Gary, is there anything? I read your whole article this morning on the Hawks upsetting the Miami Heat, and honestly, I was more concerned with the parallels almost that I was drawing in my own mind.
I'm not sure it was an upset. Both those teams are just bad.
I agree with that too.
I think he said though.
I saw the Hawks. I saw the Heat versus the Bulls tonight, and man, Miami don't look the same at all. At the end of the day, though, who would I rather face, Jimmy Butler or Trae Young? I'd face Trae Young all day.
Awful team in the Hawks. So is there anything, Gary, that we should be like, we might keep an eye on that?
I do think there's a sigh of relief. I think if you picked the play-in teams, okay, in the East, Chicago, Toronto, Atlanta, and Miami, and you had privately the Celtics pick who they wanted to play, it would be Atlanta.
Right.
They don't want to play the Bulls. The Bulls are a hard team for them to play because they're so damn big, and then they got DeRozan who kills them, and also Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic.
Yes.
Toronto is tricky. Obviously, they looked terrible here last week, but they also are big and strong. And then we all know Miami. They're full of Celtic killers.
Right.
Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, even Gabe Vincent. So I think the Celtics, if they could have picked their opponent, would have picked the Atlanta Hawks. I was impressed at times with how Atlanta played last night. And
I honestly was impressed too.
They're not impressed. And we don't know the biggest thing in this series, guys, is just the mystery. We don't know.
But I think the Heat were very bad though against them.
This is not McMillan's Hawks, okay? That didn't really defend. That were just kind of lackadaisical. Quentin Snyder's Hawks are maybe a little different. They've gone a little bit younger with Jalen Johnson off the bench. DeJounte Murray shooting threes, but I don't see a major reason for concern unless, like Chris said, the Celtics walk into this series lackadaisical, lose game one, then suddenly Atlanta gets the confidence. But if you punch Atlanta first, you play the right defense, the best Atlanta can hope for is kind of a shootout.
Right.
Which the Celtics should prevail because they have the better score.
So, Gary, so let's just assume that the Celtics are going to probably win this series, but is there a way that Atlanta can make it a series, and this isn't either a full-on sweep or a gentleman's sweep?
Yeah, I mean, you can have a Trae Young 40-point game, DeJounte Murray. Their scorers can score, and they're, Bogdanovic is a three-point shooter. Has always done well against the Celtics. They just don't have enough weapons, but they're tough. As you saw last night, they're big in the paint. They got two legitimate bigs, so the Celtics will have the work cut out for them in the boards. So I think they could obviously maybe take the first game in Atlanta, Rosh's atmosphere maybe in Atlanta on a Friday night at State Farm Arena, and maybe that momentum, but no more than that.
Right.
You don't
That's what
want
I said.
Atlanta to take a chunk out of you going to the second round and preparing likely for Philadelphia. Miami was probably going to take a chunk out of the Celtics. You don't want to have that excruciating feeling like, wow, we just went through a grueling series in the first round. You want to take care of business. Last year, remember, I think everyone was concerned about facing Brooklyn, and the Celtics swept them and made it easy on themselves.
I was pissed that they were going to face
Celtics
Brooklyn.
have a hard time making things easy on themselves, as we know, but this is an opportunity to do that.
All right, let's take a look at the Ford Big Board. Built for America, built Ford proud. The Hawks will need Trae Young at his best to have any shot of upsetting the Celtics. The 2021 playoffs, Young shined, leading the Hawks to the conference semis, averaging nearly 29 points and 10 assists per game. Conference finals, I should say. Last postseason, Young, though, struggled, averaging just 15 points, and Atlanta was bounced in round one. This is where we begin our deep dive as we bring back in Chris Forsberg and the Globe's Gary Washburn. We want you to join the conversation as well regarding Trae Young. We have a little poll for you. Is he a superstar? Is he good but not great? Or is he vastly overrated? You can vote at NBCSportsBoston.com/vote. You can also scan the QR code on the screen and click on Early Edition. Guys, I went right down the middle here with Trae Young. Gary, I think he's good. I don't think he's great.
Right.
I think, to me, when someone is a superstar, you have to consistently reach the highest levels. You have to consistently be considered one of the best players, not just a good player who has flashes of greatness.
Yeah, you got to make your teammates better. It's not all about just draining threes and hitting 40-footers. If you look at guys like, I look at Trae Young as kind of a mini Steph Curry. That's how he came into the league, as a little guy who can shoot from 45 feet with ease. And it's great to be that guy. Which if you see Steph Curry, and we've seen him obviously being in Boston a little too much, I would say Celtic fans would say, during last year's finals, you see how he makes his teammates better. He becomes a decoy, and so he leaves his teammates open. They get open shots because of him, because he's drawing double and triple teams.
Right.
Trae has to be better, a better distributor, less selfish, less careless with the ball, things like that. I need to see, personally, him bring his team to another level, not just be 43 and 39, not just be an average team and kind of putting up big numbers on an average team. I need to see more from Trae Young.
Oh, yeah, on a side note, Celtics are wearing their city jerseys tomorrow.
But, like I said,
this is the first time I think I've ever seen the Celtics wear their city jerseys in a playoff
Chris,
game.
where would you fall in this
I'll fall in line with you guys, but I think I almost skew more towards overrated than I do to superstar, because he's fun to watch and the threes are great, but when I look at it, he can't impact both sides of the basketball. And the Celtics have lived this life. Small guards, and I'm not trying to lump them all in the same category here, but Isaiah, Kemba, we saw what happens. Like, it's great that they can manufacture offense, but when it comes to the biggest stage, it's so hard for those guys to impact winning and take teams to the highest level. And I just don't think Trae is either committed to that or can actually get it out of his team. And Sus, when you watch the Celtics relentlessly attack him, well, they'll trap the pick and rolls and try to get the ball out of his hands. You're going to see how hard it becomes for the Hawks to win, and how the supporting cast just isn't good enough to beat them as well. But again, he doesn't make that supporting cast better at times by, finding other ways beyond shooting to be a dominant player.
Chris, we have though seen him take over series. We saw it a couple of years.
Hold on. Before you even get going, let's go back. Their march to the Eastern Conference Finals. A terrible Knicks team in the first round. Okay. The 76ers in round 2, perpetual playoff frauds. And then round 3, the Bucks with Giannis playing injured. That to me, I mean, it's like the bubble year. It's like weird things happen. And so I can't sit here and be like, oh, the Atlanta, no one.
So you don't look at him and even feel like, okay, he is capable of being better, like the second best player in a series like this, and like knocking Jaylen Brown off.
Here's what I'm most interested in. Remember the last time, the last time they met down in Atlanta, Marcus Smart got kicked in the junk and was quite upset about it. I suspect he's going to take that out and ramp up his defense a little bit, and I'm eager to see what we get from Trae Young, who shoots 30% from beyond the three-point arc half the time anyway.
Yeah, Gary, is it more likely that Trae Young will come out of this series as a hero or a villain? A hero for the Hawks or a villain for the Celtics?
More of a villain.
I mean villain in like, kicking Marcus Smart in his nether regions. And not because he's a villain, because he played well.
100%.
Yeah, I think he'll embrace the Garden booze. I mean, obviously he is a legend in New York because of how he has interacted with the Knicks fans over the playoff series a couple of years ago. So I think he'll try to embrace the villain role and be that bad guy. I think he hears a lot of negativity from fans on the road. I don't think he is a very well-liked player around the league. Steph, it's hard to rip Steph because he's so, he's kind of America, the kid next.
Look at Curry, man. So inspirational.
Look at Curry, man. So inspirational.
Next door who made it big and he can shoot. He's fun to watch. Trae is something different. And a lot of folks around the league do not like Trae, and they think that he's kind of a coach killer. And let's be honest, Lloyd Pierce would probably say that. Now Nate McMillan would probably say that. So Trae's reputation around the league is not great. So I think that in the TD Garden fans are savvy and smart. They're going to make all kinds of statements and remarks. So I think he'll embrace that.
Trae Young's balled in.
They'll encourage him to drop 40 and be that.
I need to hear that tomorrow or today as this video comes out.
Maybe not. But like Chris said, defense is definitely an issue. And other than throwing lobs to Clint Capella and John Collins, he does not really make his teammates better. He's going to have to really step his game up for the Hawks to have a chance to maybe win 1 or 2 games in the series.
Well, our viewers agree with all of us because good, not great, getting 74% of the votes. And we talked about Marcus Smart and the role he might play. He's probably going to be key to slowing down Young. Smart has missed the Celtics' last 3 games with neck spasms, but he will be good to go for game 1. Let's bring in Tommy Giles, who today on our show call, we were like, who has to have a big series here? Who needs to really show up? And one time Giles said, Marcus Smart?
I think it's a very interesting matchup, and Forsberg brought it up, but you go back to the last time that these two teams actually squared off in a game that mattered. You had that little dust-up between Marcus Smart and Trae Young. So I think it's an opportunity.
Oh, that's right! I forgot about that!
The Celtics switch so much defensively. You're going to see Marcus on the ball with Trae Young quite a bit and have an impact that way. Also, how about on the offensive side of things? If Trae Young is a liability, I think it gives the Celtics and Marcus Smart, who is feeling better now, who's feeling more healthy, gives him an opportunity to get back into the flow of the offense and start making the right decisions, the right choices, because they can exploit the Hawks defense.
Marcus, by his own admission, has not been himself this year, whether that's the confluence of injuries or just like it's hard after you come off a Defensive Player of the Year season to bring that every single night and to have that intensity. But I fully expect here in the postseason, as long as his neck is feeling better from the 3 games he missed at the end of the year, that he will go up a level, and that there's no way in my mind that he doesn't look across that court and see Trae Young and not get super inspired. And as much as I sit here and say, like, the Celtics can't have a letdown, I think little...
Ooh, I can't wait for this shit!
Laser focused and ready to go in this series, and I expect Marcus to be great in this round.
It also feels like Marcus Smart has a chance to change the perception of him. He has an opportunity here to do what the Celtics, what he was doing, I think, early last year under Ime Udoka, early this year when we saw his assist numbers go up, to be more of a facilitator, take shots when he needs to, but not be a guy who's just chucking up the ball just to try and be the key scorer. Like, I think there's a lot riding on this series for Marcus Smart.
Right. And again, I think you go back to the flow of the offense, and I think that you're going to see the Celtics have a much better flow in this series. And that's partly because Atlanta's just not as strong defensively, to me. And so that gives an opportunity for Marcus to get back to those things you're talking about.
I mean, if they watched last night, I mean, the Heat can't score. And so it's going to be a lot different for that team once the Celtics come in. And if Marcus is distributing, get everybody involved, I just don't see the roadmap for the Hawks.
The important thing there is Marcus Smart distributing the ball. All right, we got Tommy Giles here, which means you know what we're going to do. What are the odds? And I am paying much closer attention to this segment than I ever have before.
Let's hear it.
Yeah,
all right, how
will...
will...
has sent a lot of text messages that you don't expect. So what's going on?
How will the Celtics-Hawks series play out? The betting favorite is Celtics in 5 at +190.
Yep, what I say in the beginning of the video. I said Celtics in 5.
230. Hawks sweep a whopping +9,000, so you could make a lot there, but let's be honest, I'm not quite sure that that's such a smart bet, as Tommy Giles has been teaching me as of late. So that leads us to what are the odds? Gary Washburn is back here as well. So when you take a look at the Celtics in this series, Giles, you're a gambling guy. What are you putting your money on? Are you putting your money on 5 or are them winning a sweep?
I'd probably go towards 5 in this situation. I just think Atlanta's probably got the ability to take one game, but yeah, I would probably lean towards 5, which is why it's the shortest odds on that list, because that's what everyone else is expecting. I mean, the other thing you can do is see how game 1 plays out, see how the matchup plays out, and then go back to it and say what are the exact series scores now. Is it worth it to get on the Celtics to sweep? You might lose a little bit of value, but going into things, I'm probably leaning towards 5, although I don't hate 4 either.
What are you putting your money on here?
I'd say 5. I think they might get one game. And remember, this is not a Hawks team that is cohesive. They got a new coach who's been there 22 games. They're still trying to figure things out.
Right.
I think they're taking the stance on this. Like, let's just see what happens. Let's go out there and play and see how this goes. I think they're looking forward to the summer. Obviously, there's been trade rumors around Trae Young and maybe making some changes with obviously a new coach and a relatively new general manager. So there could be some changes this summer with the Hawks. So I don't know how close and cohesive they are where they're going to put it together and really give the Celtics a long series. I think 5 games. I would bet that.
All right, +190 on the Celtics in 5. Well, since we think that the Hawks will be a walkover, and Chris just said that the Philadelphia 76ers are playoff frauds, let's just jump ahead to the Eastern Conference Finals. MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo is your leader in the clubhouse at +130. Jason Tatum, though, right behind him,
I'm going Tatum.
+225. You see the rest of the guys on that board. Gary Washburn, who are you picking as your Eastern Conference Finals MVP? Who are you putting your money on?
Wow. I'm going to go with Giannis slightly over Tatum. Obviously Milwaukee's.
So you're saying that Milwaukee's beating the Celtics?
Got to win that series, but I just think he's on a mission this year after last year. But I think Tatum's going to be on a mission too. So I think it's kind of even. I don't want to waffle on this, but I'm just going to go against the grain and say Giannis, even though he's the favorite in this game, because Milwaukee has a home court advantage, and I think he is going to be on a mission. But Tatum, obviously after last year's postseason, this is his money time. This is when it all counts. I think Tatum will have something to say about that too.
I like Tatum in this series, in a potential series, I should say, with Milwaukee. He averaged 28 points per game in that series last year against them. He had that monster Game 6. And if that had been the Eastern Conference Finals, Tatum would have won the award in that situation. I'm intrigued by Jaylen Brown just a little bit there.
Plus 800. That's good money.
We saw the start he got off to against them just a couple weeks ago. So at some point, you got to wonder, is Jaylen Brown just going to take over one of these series? Because we kind of saw him do that against Golden State last year, albeit in a losing series. But I wouldn't sleep on that. There might be some decent value there for Jaylen Brown at 8-1.
Oh, wow. That's going to do it. Shoot, my bad. I didn't know that the video was over. They kind of cut that off there. Wow. Okay, that's going to do it for this video here. Leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed these videos. Subscribe now if you guys are new. You guys know what to do. Go check out our website. Links in the description down below. Excited for the Celtics playoffs to be back here. Excited for the Celtics run. I'm hoping the results turn into Banner 18. That's the end goal. And I hope that we have a parade here in June. And I hope I can get you guys another NBA Finals video for this season. Because I'm not going to lie, last year's NBA Finals game, that was very fun to go to. It was very fun to go to, and I will go again this year. if they are back in the finals. So, it is your boy, Jesse Almeida. Thank you guys for watching this video. Once again, leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe now if you guys are new. You guys know what to do. It's been your boy, Jesse, once again. And I will see you guys in the next video. Later, guys. Let's go, Celtics.